Hey everyone, and welcome back to another Firefly Studios video. Nick and I are here in our usual Monday morning get-ups to bring you nearly 50 Romans Age of Caesar community questions taken from our YouTube, our Twitter, and our Discord. I'm going to be fielding them dressed as a
senator.
Yeah, but I was trying to think of a nice adjective to give myself.
Dashing?
Dashing, yeah, dashing. I'm a dashing senator. And Nick dressed as a...
Nicholas Maximus Aurelius Tentacles.
That guy is going to be answering the questions. Nicholas,
That's the one.
Are you ready to get to the questions?
I am.
Let's get to it. So Nick, before we begin, I was looking at our last Q&A and I was like, you know, reading off that piece of A4, or the pieces of A4 paper were a bit boring.
It's not authentic, is it?
Exactly.
To the period.
That's the exact question I asked myself. I was like, how can I make this more historically authentic by using a prop or something that they would read from in the olden historical days.
Okay.
So to that end, I've got this here scroll, which I've tirelessly been working day and night to put all the community questions, nearly 50 of them, onto.
Wow.
So let's get started with question 1, straight from the scroll. David asks, is this a browser game?
Hello, David. No, it's not a browser game. The game will not be available in a browser of any kind. We have announced that it's going to be playable on PC and mobile, possibly other consoles, but we haven't confirmed any of those yet. But no, it will not be a browser game. It will be a download client-based game, just like Strong Kingdoms.
Next up we have Moira Nevermore.
Hi, Moira.
So Stronghold next isn't set in Rome then?
So no, it's not set in Rome. We're getting dangerously close to revealing the setting for Stronghold next, so I'm kind of going to watch what I say right now. Yeah, Rome doesn't make too much sense for Stronghold because Stronghold's more about defending a stronghold, a castle. Rome is more about city building, about your kind of settlement, and there's more of a focus on the economy. So with Romans, we really want to build a new brand that kind of builds on our heritage with the Caesar games, with Impressions, with all those kind of classic city builder titles, and kind of expands on the gameplay for those games, and then kind of leave all the Stronghold stuff to Stronghold next.
Next up we have Kabib the Bear with I want to see the gameplay.
I also want to see the gameplay. Bear in mind that the game's sort of still in quite early alpha at the moment, so one of the reasons why we're doing multiple alphas and a beta is that the gameplay itself, the game look, the level of polish in various areas is going to kind of, evolve over time and change. So we don't want to show gameplay just yet because we want everything to look kind of final before we do. But we are working on it, and it won't be too long before you can see the game in motion.
Next up we have IX Khan with When Comes Spring, my lord?
I'm going to go ahead and guess this is a Stronghold next question and not a Romans question, to which I will say, as Google will tell you, in the Northern Hemisphere, spring begins, I think March 20th, and then ends June 21st, so, yep.
Next up we have Dan Johnson. For a moment there, I thought this was a remake or remaster of Civ City Rome.
Yeah, that would be cool. It's not that. Romans is kind of a grand strategy MMO, so it's quite a different sort of game. We'd love to do another paid Roman city builder at some point, but obviously we've got 2 projects on the go at the moment, so that's kind of enough for us. But we'll try and get as many kind of Easter eggs for those classic titles in as possible, and there may be a few shared gameplay elements, them both being Roman city builders.
Next up we have Glitch Video. Can I play as barbarians against Romans? I hate Romans.
What have the Romans ever done for us?
No, unfortunately, in Romans, the game is more about the Roman Empire having sort of receded to the edges, and the barbarians having taken over a lot of it. So it's kind of the reverse of that. You are sort of a Roman governor tasked with exploring the Roman Empire, reclaiming the Roman Empire, moving back into Italy and all the various other countries and continents that covers. You should check out At the Gates if you're interested in playing as the barbarians. Very cool game on Steam, by the Civ 5 designer, John Schaefer.
John Schaefer, yes. Yeah? I'm sure we'll have some gameplay on screen.
Your destiny is to build a kingdom in the shadow of the crumbling Roman Empire.
Next up we have The Clipper with Is it an online game or what?
Or what? It is an online game. Like Kingdoms, you'll be playing with thousands of other players in one big game world. You'll be taking over land, that kind of thing. But whereas in Kingdoms, where you had your individual village that you designed and sort of controlled the entire economy of, in Romans, you'll be playing with 15 other players in a city. You'll control a little district in that city. And it will be up to you to kind of share resources, expand the city together, and generally kind of cooperate to explore and conquer this online world that you inhabit.
Next up, we have the wolf.
Ooh, ominous.
And he asks, is it 3D or 2D graphics?
Good question. The game is predominantly 2D. We're currently playing with a few 3D elements for things like avatars, maybe the world map, that kind of thing. And it's all in sort of active development moment, very early alpha, so we can't really say, but the vast majority of the game is going to be in that classic 2D isometric city builder style that our online games tend to have.
Next up, we have Neo Fusion Beta with, is it an RTS?
Good question. There's certainly more RTS elements than there were in Stronghold Kingdoms. So whereas in Kingdoms you kind of set your forces up beforehand tactically, and you kind of looking for the weak points of the castle, in this game you will do that, but you'll also have more sort of RTS-like control over those forces when they attack. So we want it to feel like you're, commanding a disciplined Roman legion, or part of one, and you'll be able to kind of command the movements and some of the sort of special attacks of your troops while they're attacking, for instance, a barbarian outpost. So there will be more RTS elements in the game.
Next up, we have another regular, Scorpio M, who just so happens to run our Stronghold community Discord.
Oh, nice.
Doing some great work, Scorpio M. We see you. He simply says the wolf has fled to Rome.
If only. We should definitely sneak some Stronghold Easter eggs.
We do have a lot of little peasants and senators walking around around your district. So maybe
just add the wolf in there.
You could just quickly walk between one of the two little buildings. That'd be funny. Hawkeye Wolf asks, what will this mean for Stronghold Kingdoms though?
Honestly, not a massive amount. Just like in 2018, we're going to have new world types, new tournaments, new updates, sales, all that kind of stuff that we've done to support the game, and we'll continue to support the game in the future. We're really lucky to have hundreds of thousands of people still playing Kingdoms, 7-8 years after launch. So we're still going to be supporting those people. But yeah, between that, Strong Next, and Romans, kind of that's our focus. Romans is not designed as a replacement for Kingdoms in any way. It's another option for players. Obviously, there's lots of shared kind of gameplay features between those games, but it's very different in some ways. Like co-op, city builder, obviously more of a focus. So we're expecting to attract a new audience with that game as well.
If you like both of them, you can play both. If you still like Kingdoms, stick with Kingdoms. If you like Romans, jump on over. Yeah. It's a free world.
Exactly.
Next, we have the Rival. Only one question left. How much wood needed, my lord?
I can confirm that wood will be in the game, and you will need wood. But you'll also need marble and a bunch of other resources. There'll be a ton of different resources in the game, way more than a Stronghold title, because it's more sort of city builder focused. So yes, look forward to needing wood, marble, carrots, other things that are in the game, silk, and all those kind of exotic materials that you will need to expand your empire across Rome.
Next up, we have Titan Born with, I love the idea and the setting. Great that we're changing direction.
Oh, glad you like it. Honestly, it's kind of scary as a developer to be announcing a new setting, let alone a new brand. So it's been really nice to see all the sort of positive responses to that. We kind of have to remind ourselves that Crusader was once a new setting. Mm-hmm. And that's become our most sort of popular franchise. So, it's really nice to be able to do something new. The team wanted to move back to Rome. It made a lot more sense in terms of the grand strategy elements. With Kingdoms, it's like one country for most game worlds. With Romans, multiple continents, loads of different countries. The cooperative elements of the game, Rome wasn't built in a day.
Indeed.
Or by a single person. So the co-op, Rome made a lot more sense for the co-op. And it's just really nice to be doing a new setting, and it's exciting.
Next up, we have that guy with, hope it works with my good old Nokia 3310.
Look, if they can get Doom to run on a printer, we can get Romans to run on a Nokia 3310.
Next up, we have Sheesh Shavia. Apologies for my lisp. Who asks, so will it be like a city defense with waves of barbarians?
Yes. So you'll be able to repel barbarian invasions on a local scale in 2 different ways. You'll be able to use the city guard or your own forces, and you'll actually be able to defend against barbarian threats directed at other players as well. So if your neighbor is being attacked by barbarians, you can move your army across and kind of take them out. Those will come in waves, and you'll kind of be encouraged to push back the barbarians within your city on the outskirts to kind of claim more land and build a bigger economy. And then on the grand strategy layer, on the kind of world map, there will also be barbarian invasions of various types that I won't talk about right now, but are very cool and will be a big part of the sort of the longer game.
Next up, we have No Truth with my friend Biggest Dickus is going to love this.
What's funny about Biggest Dickus?
He certainly will. I think that username's still available in the game, you know. Jump on it as soon as you're pre-registered.
Jump on that Biggest Dickus.
He's been waiting all day to say that.
Next, we have Warrior Craft. Can you add territory war or the ability to colonize different territories?
Yep. Territories are a big part of the game. Once you've moved from Sicily to Italy and you're in the Empire map proper, you're obviously going to have multiple cities that you're going to be taking care of. You're going to be taking down barbarian strongholds. You're going to be conquering territory that opens up new trade routes and makes new resources available. You're going to be dealing with, you know, much larger AI threats. So while the game is kind of focused on city building, that's not all it's about. There's combat in there, there's territory claiming, and a lot of sort of familiar endgame stuff for what is essentially a grand strategy game.
Next up, we have Future Productions. Guys, please shut up and take my fucking money.
Last time we joked about that, and I gave them my PayPal details, and someone actually sent me £5. So please don't do that. Just download the game instead.
I'm going to just write a note to myself to put my PayPal details
in the next video. That's what the next intro will start like.
I mean, they sent you what, like £5?
Yeah.
I wouldn't say no to like a couple of grand.
Times are tough.
Next up, we have Casper 376. Is this game going to be free for everybody like Stronghold Kingdoms?
Yes, it is. We like to choose the kind of model that makes the most sense for each game, and with an MMO you kind of want it to be free to play because it means that you can get thousands of players into each game world, and that's like a large part of why people played Kingdoms and why we assume people will play Romans, especially with the fact that Romans is a lot more co-op based. So, you know, having 16 players in a city is going to make that city so much stronger, so much more fun to play. You know, we're going to need thousands of players in each world, so free to play just makes sense for that, and we always like to choose the model that makes sense for the game rather than doing it the other way around.
Download the game for free with your friends, jump into a city, and there you go. You're playing a co-op game with your best buds.
And you're rebuilding Rome.
What more do you want?
What do you want?
Next up, we have Albuquerque, who clearly likes his classic Jeff Bridges 90s films with Where's the Gameplay, Lebowski?
Oh man, maybe one day they'll give us a Lebowski sequel that isn't just them teasing like a Super Bowl ad.
Well made, huh?
It's never going to happen.
No,
it's never going to happen.
There will be gameplay very soon. Basically at the moment we're trying to nail down all the sort of core gameplay systems with the alpha, get rid of all the sort of placeholder graphics, get everything looking really final. So it's partly about wanting to finish up the game visually, but also about wanting to decide kind of where the end game is. We know what the core loop is, but get player feedback on what the end game should be, what the politics should look like, what the grand strategy sort of territory conquering element of the game should look like, how that's all going to balance nicely with each other. And yeah, get a clear idea of kind of where the sort of meat of the game is before we do a gameplay trailer to give you an idea of what that is.
Next up, we have YouTube regular to our content, Massive Potato.
Hello, Potato.
Have been waiting for some new strategy games set in the time of the old Roman Empire. Looking forward to more info.
Cool. I mean, like, we kind of basically just did that thing where a developer wants to play a game that doesn't exist, so they just made it themselves. But also, the Roman Empire was a big choice, you know, most obvious choice for us, mainly because we wanted to expand on the politics of Stronghold Kingdoms. So we saw the way that people were playing between sort of houses, their marshals, officers, and the other kind of, you know, appointed official roles that people had. And we immediately went to Rome, you know, in terms of the Senate, in terms of the sort of power plays. As you can see, Aaron's garb. That's kind of what we wanted to deliver on this game. So yeah, the setting made a lot of sense for us, and yeah, we're trying to make the most of it, I think, but in terms of all aspects of the gameplay.
Next up, we have Rams Play. Will this be more like Stronghold Kingdoms or Age of Empires Online?
Definitely more like Stronghold Kingdoms in the sense that fighting is on a kind of grand strategy setup. So there's no sort of instance fighting between players. It's not like 1v1, a bit like Age of Empires. It's more, you know, you're playing in a massive game world with thousands of other players, and you're kind of, you know, you're strategizing over the course of, you know, months rather than kind of like a single game. But it'll be different to Kingdoms in the sense that Romans is more focused on co-op play. It's even more focused on the grand strategy elements. We're building on the politics. So it's a different beast to both those titles, but it's definitely more similar to Stronghold Kingdoms.
Next up, another one of our regular YouTube commenters, Mr. Volp, with really reminds me of Caesar 3. I've been playing a lot in my childhood. I am interested.
Cool. I mean, there's a reason for that. Simon coded and helped design the Caesar games. Eric, another of our co-founders, produced them. Darren did the art direction, Rob composed the music. All these people still work either for us or with us. So there's always going to be an element of sort of Caesar DNA in any game we make, be it Romans or Civ City Rome. Yeah, so even though you can't spam the 0 key to make them say plebs are needed, it is going to always have that element of the DNA. Just be glad it's not going to remind you of that weird Caesar 4 ad with like plebs gone wild, was it?
My favorite piece of video game marketing to date.
Roll the clip.
Caesar 4 presents Plebs Gone Wild. We're taking you back to ancient Rome to party with all the hottest citizens on the Aventine.
And that was actually the last question on my lovely piece of parchment here. I want to thank, first of all those who asked questions through our YouTube page, through our Twitter, Discord.
Appreciate it.
You know, all our community outlets. For those of you who have shown interest and been engaged and asked questions, we really appreciate that and couldn't have done this video without you. Also want to thank Nick for answering all those questions, very in-depth answers, so I hope you guys appreciated that. Hope that gleaned some new info for you.
I like to think of the YouTube channel as their sort of the place they can go to kind of get sneak peeks in information that they wouldn't get otherwise.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, that's kind of why we do these videos.
To end, if you do want to stay up to date on everything's Roman Age of Caesar or anything Stronghold Next, anything to do with our legacy titles or Stronghold Kingdoms, we do all kinds of content here on the YouTube channel. Make sure you hit that subscribe button with the notification bell on. Also follow us on Twitter and Facebook, and we'll see you next week for another Firefly Studios video at 3 p.m.